It is the holidays.
Do 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 do.
I mean, it's literally Christmas Eve as this episode goes out, so it is smack dab in the midst of the holiday season.
My goodness, we're so festive. Look at this. We
My
totally
goodness.
planned it.
Yep.
Yep.
That's just how good we are.
Yep.
And that means, of course, it's time for our annual holiday episode of the Seasonal Anime Checkup OVA, which is a podcast where we have conversations about video games, anime, and manga. Did you know that? Wow, it's so surprising.
So surprising.
So surprising. Hello, I'm Jared, joined as always by Doc Al and Ladium.
Hello, hello.
This is episode number 313, and we got some holiday themed media to talk about.
Yep, holiday themed.
Yep. What better way to get the loved ones together than to celebrate the holidays than by talking about the effects of war?
Yay.
Woohoo!
Watch a small child get PTSD.
Yay!
Yay.
That's what we always wanted.
Yep, it's true. I mean, isn't that how your holidays went? You would end up with PTSD at the end?
I mean, always. That's always how it goes.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's just normal for holidays at this point. You know, maybe it's not because of war, but that's what's happening here. War.
What is it good for?
Giant robots.
That's true as well. We watched Gundam 0080 War in the Pocket.
It had that
Get
nice
some
jingle.
Gundam. Pew pew pew. Doo doo doo. Yes, this is a I think this is an OVA technically.
6 episodes, you said?
Yeah, 6 episodes. They released monthly between March of 1989 and August of 1989.
Oh my God, it took it like every month to get this out?
Well, it's an OVA, so they probably just like were releasing it straight to home video.
Oh, okay. It's still like, oof. I'd be dying to know what was going on.
That is true. They released this as part of the 10th anniversary of the Gundam franchise, which is pretty wild to think about.
Yeah, no kidding.
That in '89 it was the 10-year anniversary, and now we're up to what, 40? Over 40?
Yeah, because you said 89. That's a year younger than me.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be 35 in like 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Couple weeks, yeah.
So, yep.
That do be how it goes.
And it's over 40.
It is indeed over 40. Oh man, let's talk about the production of this here OVA series.
Okay.
Mobile Suit Gundam 0080 War in the Pocket was produced by Animation Studio Sunrise in association with Toei Company Bandai. Kenji Uchida was the former representative, and Minoru Takanashi was the latter's producer. The series was created to commemorate the 10-year anniversary of the Gundam franchise, created by Yoshiyuki Tomino in 1979. War in the Pocket was directed by Fumihiko Takayama, known for his work on Orgus 02 and WX3 Patlabor the Movie 3, marking the first time anyone other than Tomino directed a Gundam show. The screenplay was written by Hiroyuki Yamaga with scenario by Kyosuke Yuki, while the character designer for the series was Haruhiko Mikamoto. War in the Pocket was originally released in Japan on VHS and Laserdisc.
Oh, snap.
Yeah.
Do you have this Laserdisc?
I don't think I have any of the 0080 Laserdiscs, though I would like to have them. I think the covers on them are pretty good. As a 6-part original video animation series between March 25th, 1989 and August 25th, 1989, Bandai Visual re-released the series 3 times, first into 2 3-episode DVD volumes on December 18th, 1999, then as a DVD box set on April 22nd, 2011 as part of the specially priced DVD series G Selection, and later on a Blu-ray disc box set on August 29th, 2017. The first North American home media release of War in the Pocket was handled by Bandai Entertainment, with dubbing produced by Animaze. First announced in 1998, Bandai originally released it in a VHS box set along with Mobile Suit Gundam 0083 Stardust Memory on March 9th, 1999. From September 14th, 1999 to November 23rd, 1999, the company released it into 3 2-episode VHS volumes, followed by a 6-episode box set on December 7th, 1999. In December of 2000, Bandai announced its DVD release for the following year, but in 2001, Bandai changed the October 2001 release date to January 2002 and then February 2002. It was like, we'll get to it eventually. War in the Pocket was released in 2 DVD volumes between February 19, 2002 and April 23, 2002. 2 complete collection re-releases followed. A collector's edition box set was published on July 12, 2005, followed by a DVD under Anime Legends imprint on March 23, 2009. Bandai initially planned to broadcast War in the Pocket in the United States in 2002, but Sunrise set a September 2001 air date.
Uh-oh.
Ultimately, the anime aired on Cartoon Network's Toonami Midnight Run block starting from November 5th, 2001. It was also aired by the same channel on its Adult Swim block on Saturday nights from November 16th, 2002 until December 28th, 2002, after which the Saturday block was removed. And then on a Saturday video entertainment system block starting from March 1st, 2003 and ending on April 19th, 2003. And then Right Stuff got the rights to release it, and they put out a big old Blu-ray. Not a big old Blu-ray, it's tiny. I have it. It's over there on my shelf. But they put out a Blu-ray set of it on January 3rd, 2017.
Wow.
Wow, indeed. Let's look at the legacy of this here series. Yoshiyuki Tomino, who was not involved in this show's production, was interviewed in the New Type magazine April 1989 issue after the release of the first episode. He praised the director's effort to make the show realistic and focused on things other than mobile suit battles. He also commented on 2 glitches, one being the portrayal of a blue sky in the colony rather than the other side of the cylinder, which is only about 6.4 kilometers away, and the children being out during a wartime alert. Tomino thought that school resuming with combat in such close proximity was unrealistic, when a more sensible response should have been to close the school immediately and guide the children to shelters.
I mean, he's not wrong.
Gundam 0080 marked a significant departure from the constant background theme of new types featured in the Universal Century Gundam universe since the original Mobile Suit Gundam up until Char's counterattack. The absence of this theme raised the series' appeal towards audiences without special liking of Gundam and Tomino's work, and would continue in many following Gundam series narrating about ordinary soldiers and people in these conflicts. Gundam 0080 also began an enduring tradition of retroactive redesigns. Yutaka Izubuchi updated the original Mobile Suit Gundam's dated mechanical designs and costumes, and since then every new creative team has offered its own take on the classic Gundam props. This one person ranked War in the Pocket as their 5th favorite animated series in 2002.
Wow, 5th?
5th.
What else came out in 2002?
I don't know. Its DVD box re-release in 2011 was the third best placed animation on Oricon's ranking of best-selling DVDs in the week of April 18th to 24th, selling 3,739 copies. The 2017 re-release sold 6,352 copies and ranked 3rd on Oricon's animation Blu-ray disc chart. So, yeah. This is basically, like, there's a lot of high praise for the show just because of, like, it's a more grounded approach to Gundam compared to kind of, like, the more bombastic view of it from, like, the original series and some of the other bigger series that are out there.
Mm-hmm.
And it very much kind of just hammers home the point of that, which is the point of Gundam in general, that, hey, war's terrible.
Yeah, war sucks.
And that a lot of people don't kind of get that theme throughout a lot of Gundam series. They see that meme of, hey, cool robot, and they're like, yeah, this is a cool robot. That's all I'm here for. But it really feels like this series in particular just hammers home that point just repeatedly into your brain, like, hey, this is bad. This is very bad.
I mean, is it because of, like, the perspective of the small kid and it being, like, more of a character driven? I don't know. I don't know much about Gundam.
Yeah, I mean, it could be as well. I mean, it also, I think, helps this series in particular that they go to a neutral colony where the war really hasn't touched them at all.
Right.
So a lot of people there are kind of like disengaged from it. They're like, they hear about it through the news and everything, and like, oh, this is happening, blah blah blah. But like, it hasn't gotten to them personally.
It's not part of their lives.
Yeah, so they don't understand like the significance of it or like the terrors of it or anything like that yet. That's why like a lot of the kids in that show are just like, oh, cool robots, yay, look at all this, woohoo.
Let's get some gun shells.
Let's get some gun shells. This is awesome. And they don't understand, like, man, this is all terrible stuff that's happening.
Right.
Like, all these people are dying and everything. Like, this is all real bad.
Mm-hmm.
Or also, like, the kid not understanding, like, the difference between the Earth Federation and the Zeon, and like
Right.
why one side would be bad and why the other side would be good. But I think as well this show does a good job of like showcasing like the individual soldier stories between both factions and how to kind of like, despite the ideological differences between both factions, like, you know, story soldiers are going to be pretty similar
Mm-hmm.
despite who you're fighting for, essentially. It is very much the anti-war Gundam series, like very just specifically that, more so than I feel like a lot of other Gundams really try and beat you over the head with.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it helps as well that it's like only 6 episodes, so it's kind of just this small short form story that's able to kind of portray the story that it wants to tell and not really overstay its welcome or anything, or like, you know, get too bombastic that I would kind of devalue the message they're trying to portray here.
Mm-hmm.
Because if like this was like a 20 episode series, I don't think really the horrors of the war would really be as impactful as they are in 6 episodes.
Right.
Per se.
I mean, I think that like one of the things that made this really fascinating to me in general while we were watching it is like real-time destruction of innocence. Which is kind of a one, two, three, kind of a weird thing to be like, that was really good. But I mean, it really does hammer home like, well, the message of it being bad, but the difference in Al from episode 1 to like the ending scene with Al, that's a very different character.
100%, yeah.
And it feels realistic. It doesn't feel like it's just goofy, weird anime thing. Like it actually feels like something that would happen because there is that like fascination and that excitement behind it. And then like there's the realization of like, oh God, everything is terrible. This sucks.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to need many, many years of therapy after this. Many years.
I think as well it's interesting that like, because Al gets the most kind of impact within all of the story here.
Yeah.
Because he sees everything firsthand between both sides and the fighting and everything and why all of this is real bad. But like everyone else is still very distant, even though there's been like multiple battles within this colony.
Yeah.
Where like, was like episode 4 or 5 when Chris has to fight the one dude in Bernie's platoon.
Misha?
And kills him. Yeah. Like they have that whole fight, like the school gets destroyed, partially destroyed and everything, and it's just like the next day everyone's just out like doing their thing like nothing happened.
And the cop's like, why aren't you in school, kid?
Yeah, like everyone's still desensitized to everything despite the fact that like, hey, this war has finally come to your backyard.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is not good. You shouldn't just be acting like, oh, everything's fine, blah blah blah.
It's Christmas, which is why we're talking about it right now. It's Christmas.
The end of the show ends on Christmas. That's basically why we are talking about this now. But yeah,
giant Santa everywhere.
It's very wild how like they're just like, oh, we'll just move on with our lives, blah blah blah. Nothing. Yeah, I guess that happened. Who cares? And then even at the end of the series, like when after the big fight happens, like they're just like having this assembly at the school, like, oh, the war's over. That was real bad. Anyways, time to move on and get back with our lives. Hooray!
Yep.
And everyone's just like, all right, woohoo. And Al's the only one who's like, oh my God, what do you do? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, no, that's not how this works.
No,
I am a small child and I understand that this is not how this works. Somebody help me.
Please help me.
I am a small child.
I still don't believe he's 11.
He's got the Yakuza child syndrome.
He really does.
Just looking older than he is.
Well, his friends also look older, except for the girl that he hangs out with, or he doesn't really hang out with. The girl that sits behind him in class or in front of him in class. I don't remember which direction. Behind him.
Mm-hmm.
All of his friends also look way older than 11. But, I mean, he looks like a baby. He looks like he's probably 8.
They just couldn't figure out how to make a child look like a appropriate age.
No, like the other two that he hangs out with, they probably look like they're like 13. And then him and the girl look like they're probably like 8, but they're all 11 apparently. I don't know, it was weird, but he definitely did not look like an 11-year-old. But at the same time, like I wouldn't be surprised to see an 11-year-old get like so jazzed about this kind of thing.
Yeah,
So that's realistic.
because again, like you're as a kid, you're going to be desensitized to all of this. Like it's not going to seem real.
It's not realistic for you. Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, weird comparison to make. And it's the second time this has come up um on this here podcast. But I was in middle school when 9/11 happened,
Mm-hmm.
and we watched it on TV, and it just like, okay, I've never been to New York. I don't know I've never even heard of that building. This is weird, but like, what does it mean for me? And then like I kept hearing stuff afterwards, and then it became like an actual big deal, and but like none of it ever really felt like it like meant anything to me
Mm-hmm.
because I lived in rural West Tennessee.
Yeah.
Um, it's like, oh man, that's tragic. That sucks. But like, all right, that happened, I suppose. Like, I feel like it's probably the same kind of idea of what was happening here of like, oh, this war is going on. This is really terrible. Like, I have an idea that it's happening, but none of it is actually having any kind of direct impact on me. So, that like glorification can happen.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Um, Again, very weird comparison for me to make, but there it is.
No, I think that makes a lot of sense because like I definitely kind of had a similar thing happen when that also took place. Where it's just like, okay, this is the thing.
Like, I didn't
I
even know
get
what that was.
I get out of my state testing today. Yahoo!
Like, I didn't know what state it was in. I didn't know what city it was in. I just knew that there's a building.
Mm-hmm.
I eventually learned, obviously, but
Right. Right. Right.
like I can relate to his perspective here. I mean, probably not so much of the like excitement about the giant robots, even though like as an adult, I'm like, giant robots are actually kind of cool. But like middle school me would not have been as excited about giant robots. Giant dinosaurs? Yeah, totally. um, but that mindset that they're all in is very
Mm-hmm.
relatable to me. Like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
get that.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's completely understandable, especially for kids that age, that age.
Well, and even then, like, do you remember when we played like House of Ashes that the dude's like, yeah, I don't know, I was just smoking weed the whole time, and then like I ended up
Mm-hmm.
joining because Ruha, like America,
Yeah.
like that's kind of the same thing that like there's just like this like what's the word I'm looking for here? I want to say ambivalence, but I don't think that's right. Is that the right word I'm looking for? You're the English person.
Oh no. Oh no.
Like
I mean, maybe.
everything exists, but like none of it actually feels like it's directly relating to you, and none of it actually feels like it's as bad as it is until like you actually
It
are.
directly affects you. Yeah.
Correct, yes.
That
Anyway,
do be
two
how it
weird
goes.
references.
No, I mean, again, I think those make sense because like that's just how it is for a lot of people. Like it's gonna feel like, oh, this is a very far away thing, and then once it comes to your doorstep, you're like, uh oh.
And it's so weird to me that like it's not the case for many other people in this colony that like they just move on with their lives.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess he has the direct connection of like he treated Bernie like his brother.
He knows the people involved more than anyone else
Mhm.
there.
Like both of the two pilots there, he's very close with.
Yeah. So like if I would say like if anyone else on that colony had a direct connection the way he did,
Mhm.
it would probably be more real to them as well. But no one else really has that direct connection with either of them.
Right. I mean, like he helped rebuild the one suit.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so like he has a direct connection in like the battle actually occurring.
Yeah.
So is that too. So there's probably some kind of like guilt there too.
Hmm.
Well, and there's the whole failure to make the battle stop. But how, as an 11-year-old child, do you make two giant robots stop fighting each other?
Yell louder.
Yell louder. Get a megaphone.
Hey, stop fighting. You're like, huh? Oh,
Go,
okay, I guess we'll stop fighting.
go find a karaoke machine and drag it with you.
uh, they didn't have that technology in 1989, apparently.
They didn't have karaoke machines in 1989?
Not for this child.
I mean, they probably did, but not for this child.
No. But yeah, this is I think the slow build of this really again helps this show as well because like the first couple of episodes are just kind of like you're getting to know or Al and his friends. You get to know Bernie through like him joining in with the Xeon Special Forces group he joins up with. You meet Chris a little bit. She's kind of like just here in the background, just Al's neighbor.
He probably has a small crush on her.
Mm-hmm. And like there's like you see that first initial battle in like the first episode, but like outside of that, there's not a whole lot of like fighting that happens in the first couple of episodes
Hmm.
before it starts to ramp up later on in the series.
Well, nothing like really tragic happens in the first battle. Like the one mobile suit like gets knocked down that is it called mobile suit at that point? I don't remember.
Yeah, yeah.
Um and Bernie's grounded. But like you don't see the like level of devastation that you see in the later
No.
two
I mean, there's
battles.
there's that one dude in the special forces who dies, but like you don't really know who that character is at all, so it's just like, whatever.
I don't even remember that guy dying.
Yeah, he dies in that first battle. Like the first battle they have at the
Oh, oh, right, right, right.
the North Pole base.
Andy, I think is his name.
Yeah, he
Right?
dies.
Yeah, he died. I forgot about that guy. Oops.
How dare you forget Andy?
I know. Burt
Never
Reynolds was real
forget.
sad about him.
Never forget. Yeah.
Which, man, we've got some interesting racial stereotypes going on here, and I guess cultural stereotypes.
Yeah. It's the
'Cause
late 80s.
here's this Hispanic man who's, yep. And then here's this
Mm-hmm.
Russian guy. Wow, he's drunk all the time, and that's all
Mm-hmm.
he does.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, all right, I guess we're rolling with that, huh?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm not surprised by that given when it came out. So I'm not gonna fault them so much for it. Like it sucks, but it's kind of how it went back then. So
Yeah.
like I'm not like, oh God, this is the worst thing. It ruins it all. But it is something worth noting that it's like, oh, okay, that's where we're going with this.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, Burt Reynolds was very sad about Andy's death, and I don't even remember Andy.
He was very sad.
He was very sad. And that's how
Um,
Bernie ends up on the team is because they lost Andy.
yeah, and he's just a rookie in there and just thrust into the situation.
Rookie cop Bernie,
Yep.
except for he's rookie Nazi Bernie.
Yeah.
Whoops.
There's apparently I got some trivia for all these episodes if you want to hear some trivia.
I would love to hear some trivia.
The title of episode 1, which is titled How Many Miles to the Battlefield, may be a reference to the nursery rhyme How Many Miles to Babylon.
Oh, huh.
This episode marks the first mention of the name of the currency used in the Universal Century. According to Dolores Hayes, Toy Federation rank badges cost 1 cool. This is translated as $1 in the dub, however. Which I think they use like they redo that again later on when like Bernie's at the bar buying drinks.
When he's buying
Lily's like,
drinks and the ticket to not
yeah,
France.
yes. And then the video game played by Al uses various sound effects from Mario. This
Yes,
is Super
it
Mario World, but I
does.
don't think it's Mario World.
It's
I
not
think it's
Mario World.
I think it's SMB 3.
It's Mario 3.
Yeah, which is very funny because those are just they just rip those sounds and were like, yep, throw it in there.
Just straight up Mario 3 sounds. I was like, wait, 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 wait. I know those sounds.
It's very funny.
It's really funny.
The trivia for episode 2 says Bernie's shuttle enters the colony through gate number 4, possibly foreshadowing the eventual fate of him and the rest of the Cyclops team. I don't understand what that means, but it links to a Wikipedia article for tetraphobia.
Is that the whole like 4=death thing in Japan?
Yes, I believe that is the case. Yes.
Okay,
That would be why.
that makes sense.
Nahone.
Nahode. That doesn't
Uh,
translate as well here, but that's what it's probably
yeah.
about.
The trivia for episode 3 is the title of this episode is a reference to the end of Someone Else's Rainbow. It's the episode of title for this. The title for this episode is At the End of the Rainbow, a novel by Robert Rossner. The Japanese title of the novel is This, and the Japanese title of the episode is exactly the same except with the addition of a question mark.
Which like end of the rainbow usually means like also dying, right? Or is
I guess
that
potentially it could.
I don't remember. Other
Or
than
the
like
treasure.
no, say the pot of gold.
Yeah. The trivia for episode 4, which was titled Over the River and Through the Woods.
To grandmother's house we go.
The title of the episode is most likely a reference to Ernest Hemingway's novel Across the River and Into the Trees. The Japanese title of the episode is This, is very similar to the Japanese title of the novel. The central theme of the Hemingway novel is death, so the title is likely alluding to the multiple character deaths in this episode. Good old Hemingway.
That guy.
That guy. Episode 5's trivia is Say It Ain't So, Bernie. The title of this episode is a reference to Say It Ain't So, Joe, an alleged exchange between baseball player Joe Jackson and a child fan in 1921 when the former was revealed to have participated in match fixing.
Mm-hmm.
Another currency is mentioned when Bernie orders a drink at the spaceport bar, Heights, which from the dialogue appears to be multiples of Cools, introduced in the first episode. So there's that callback to that, which we mentioned.
Yep.
And then the titular War in the Pocket episode, the finale. The photos at the end credits are colorized, as we talked about it when we were watching that.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's about it. So there you go.
In terms of our Christmas theming, the crazy like Christmas inflatables end up playing a big role in the final battle, which is wild.
Yeah, so like essentially the reason this kind of ends up on Christmas is that the Xeon group that is there, which was Bernie's group and everything, their whole mission is to go to this colony, find information about if there's a Gundam being produced in this colony, potentially destroy it if they can, and then get the heck out of there. Which they learn basically later on that they're kind of just scapegoats for this whole thing and are kind of just being used for everything.
By that six-head man, right?
Yeah, yes, and they're basically unable to finish their mission, and everyone gets killed except for Bernie because the Gundam just wipes them out, and the Earth Federation forces also do the same.
I'd say the one guy just like blows himself up.
Mm-hmm.
Burt Reynolds gets shot.
Yep.
Misha gets shot a lot.
Yeah, he does.
He gets shot quite a bit.
So because of this failure, the Zeons are there's a coup happening within the Zeon forces, where essentially they're going to go to that colony and blow it up with nuclear weapons, so they can destroy the Gundam and get rid of it.
Yep.
Because that's how desperate they are. So Bernie like learns of this, and he's like, "Oh, I can't do anything. I can't fight the Gundam. I can't blow it up. I got to get the heck out of here." And that's
I don't want to get nuked. Can you and your mom go on a vacation or something?
Eventually, Al kind of like talks them back into fighting again, and they rebuild the Zaku that Bernie originally came in on, and they're gonna go destroy the Gundam and hopefully save this colony from nuclear attack and everything. Except, like Al's dad comes back, and he's like, "Yeah, there was a space fight when we were docking to get to the colony, and they said, oh man, the Earth Federation stopped this ship that had nuclear weapons on it, and they were gonna come blow up the colony." So like everything is okay, but then Bernie's gonna go fight the Gundam because he doesn't know this.
Right, he has no way of knowing.
And Al tries to go stop them, and Bernie and Chris fight in the Zaku and the Gundam, and then Bernie gets poked in the cockpit with the beam saber, turns into hamburger meat.
Which, by the way, the lightsaber noises are also just straight up lifted from Star Wars. Um,
That's how they always have been.
yeah. I mean, it's just straight up the same sound. I still can't get over the hamburger meat reference. I'm just like, why would you say that?
I mean, if you get beam sabered in the cockpit, like there's not gonna be much left of you.
Really?
I mean, that beam saber is very hot. It's basically a giant lightsaber.
Right.
And you've seen how those work in Star Wars. What if there was a big one that just came and just thrust into you?
Yeah, okay.
Not much left of you.
And I mean, he got shot in the head before that anyway.
Well, the head isn't really any like. I guess he got shot in the head. You're right. You're right. You're right.
Yeah, because she got shot like in the side or in the shoulder area.
She took a hit from the axe.
Yes.
He sliced in the cockpit
Yes.
a little bit. So yeah, they both got like messed up in that fight. But she lives. Bernie dies, and Al's there to see all of it because he's trying to stop the two of them from fighting.
Yeah, and he didn't know
is
that Chris
unable
was
to.
the pilot until she
No,
was dragged out.
And he's just like, he's just sitting there like, because he gets like, there's an explosion that happens at the end as well, and he gets knocked back into like a tree or something, and like he's just sitting there like traumatized, and like a Federation soldier runs up to him and is like, "What are you doing here, kid? Are you okay?"
Just
like,
starts
what's
shaking
happening?
him like, oh, stop
What's
shaking
wrong
the
with
small
you?
child.
It's like, man, this poor kid.
Yeah. And then later on, Chris is like, "Oh, I have to leave. Will you say bye to Bernie for me?" And he's like, "Yep, he's gonna be real sad that he missed you."
Mm-hmm. And then I think this scene is good because of just it shows the f***ed up nature of what has happened throughout this entire series.
Mm-hmm.
Is that like, you know, they have the scene at the end where at the school where the principal's like, the war's over.
Yeah, that one
so
is a wild
we're gonna be able to
scene.
move on and everything, and like Al just starts like sobbing,
Mm-hmm.
and his friends are like, don't worry about it, Al, there's gonna be another war coming, it's gonna be real rad, and we'll get some more stuff and everything.
They're like, we'll
great.
get real bullets this time instead of just the shells.
And he's just like losing it.
And the girl
they
goes
have
to get the
no
teacher.
idea. They have no understanding of like what he's going through or what he's gone through.
Nope.
And it's just like we talked about earlier, like this huge disconnect between the two, like these two groups.
Like his friends are literally making the situation worse and not realizing.
Yeah. They have no idea.
I did appreciate that this girl who like they've honestly been tormenting this whole series realized enough like, oh, this is not good, and goes to get the teacher.
Mm-hmm.
Like she at least has some emotional intelligence
Mm-hmm.
to realize like, uh-oh, there's a problem here. She doesn't know what the problem is, but she knows that there's something going on.
Yeah.
As opposed to just like teasing him for it or going along with it or whatever. Like she figures out like, oh, I need to do something. So
like,
good on you, little girl. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So there is that. But yeah, like that there's a huge disconnect of like this very, very traumatized child who saw like somebody he really looks up to and probably has a crush on, straight up murder somebody he considered his family at this point. Neither of them knowing that they were the ones that were fighting each other, and him like putting Bernie up to it, essentially, or encouraging Bernie to go through with it and helping him like rebuild and all that fun stuff. So like I'm sure he feels like a direct responsibility for it.
Yeah, it's like I feel responsible, I feel guilt, I feel all this trauma.
That's a lot. He's probably gonna hate Christmas
lot.
from now on. He's definitely gonna hate Christmas from now on.
He's gonna need so much therapy.
So much therapy. Jesus Christ. I did type into the Zoom chat. I don't know if you noticed this, but the Merry Christmas Mary made me laugh a lot when we saw that.
There were some very interesting things that they that we saw in this that were kind of like ancillary little things in the backgrounds of shots and everything of like the Mary MARYXMS.
Yep.
the Kentucky Dried.
Kentucky Dried.
So like fun weird stuff like that. But then they're like in the first episode, there's just like in one of the mobile suits, it's just like here's a poster from Playboy.
Yeah, that's a Playboy poster.
And you're just like, huh?
Which I don't completely understand like war habits, I suppose. I know that there tends to be like habits of, or at least in media, there's the habit of like decorating your living space with Playboy posters and that kind of thing.
Right.
Like, Wouldn't it be somewhat distracting in the thing that you're trying to survive and also kill people in?
Well, maybe it's for more like the downtime. So like it's just something to like raise your spirits when things are going bad
How
type
much
deal.
downtime do you
Like
get while
it would
you're
be the
just chilling
same
in
of
there?
like I mean I guess it would be the same if like someone had like pictures of their family in their mobile suit cockpit or something like that.
Okay, that's fair.
Just something to remind them of home or just like something to remind them of like normalcy essentially
Yeah.
when you're
If
in this just terrible situation.
if Randy Orlando had a mech, he would put Playboy posters in it.
He 1000% would. There's no doubt in my mind.
Or hot shot, sorry, is what they call it in that, but he would have it covered.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. All right.
It'd be very funny.
I can respect that, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But it was really weird. It's like that's just Playboy, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Kentucky Dried was pretty good. There was another thing that is like on the board, but I can't remember what it was. But it was really entertaining. It was a good distraction from like, oh God, this is sad.
Yeah. Soundtrack as well is really good.
Oh God, it is very good. There were so many times during battles that it was just like, oh God, this rules. And I kept telling you, like, this rules.
Mm-hmm.
Has no right to be that good.
It was like I told you, like just Gundam soundtracks are for the most part very good.
I mean, you made me listen to something later, and I was like, yup, you are correct.
Mm-hmm.
Congratulations. I mean, you tend to be correct, but you were really correct on that, guys. Also, we kept making jokes about Al being me.
Yeah, that was fun. You gotta make some fun when things are rough out there.
Yep. Yep.
Apparently, there is a current manga adaptation of this series happening right now.
Really?
Yeah,
I'd
it's pretty
read that.
wild. It's neat. But yeah. So this is your second Gundam thing I've made you watch.
Mm-hmm.
What I mean we've kind of talked about what you thought and everything, but like, was this exactly what you were expecting or anything, or was like anything surprising about it or anything like that?
Okay, so my general like I guess takeaway typically of Gundam from what I've seen so far is generally big robots,
Mm-hmm.
war is bad.
Yep, you got it. You nailed it.
Um, and so that's what I was expecting. I actually expected more of the giant robot part than the war is bad part.
Yeah, this is kind of like I said, it's kind of an exception where like those elements are a little bit flip flopped. You would than what you would expect from most Gundam series.
I personally appreciated that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I felt like we got like a lot of character time. We got to like know these people. And again, there was like some sense of normalcy for this kiddo that like there aren't just giant robots everywhere all the time walking around doing things, fighting. Like that's just not how this works. Um,
I would say as well that like I think the way it's having that inversion
mhm.
of those two makes the battles that happen more impactful
I
than
agree
if
with
there
you.
was more fights scattered throughout the series.
I agree with you. And even like there's the one gunfight like around the Gundam.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, oh, okay, well this has nothing to do with the robot fight that's happening outside. This is just people being people and fighting each other and spilling their spaghetti sauce all over themselves.
Yeah, buddy.
Um, but I did appreciate that. And I really didn't know what I was getting into. When you're like, hey, you want to do another Gundam? I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? Let's do it. I'm pretty sure you're on a mission to get me to watch Gundam. Um, and this was a good one to go that direction because I really, really liked it.
Mhm.
Um, but I'm also, a big sucker for anti-war stories, so
Yeah.
there's that too. I also really enjoy the character writing here
Hmm.
and the dialogue. A lot of it was like there was some goofy dialogue that happened, but like it was good. It was fun. You had silly moments like Chris braining Bernie at one point, thinking that he was like a creeper, and that has nothing to do with what's going on, but it was a nice little like
Mom,
moment to
call the
see.
cops. It's a creeper.
Right.
Never mind, Mom. Don't call the cops.
Don't call the cops. Like you got to know a little bit about her, and him too. Um, in a situation that has nothing to do with like what they do for a living.
Hmm.
Um, so it made the end that much more tragic.
Yeah.
And like she's probably never going to know unless Al spills the beans, like what happened there.
Hmm.
Because there's nothing left of him. How would they know? How could they tell her that's who it was?
They wouldn't.
Nope. We did have that like weird side bit about like being a mistress that I still don't know what that was about. That was kind of a weird segue. It was mainly just like to keep Bernie there, but I'm like, what is happening here?
This lady's having a moment.
She was so drunk.
Yep.
She was saying she wasn't drunk though.
I'm not drunk. You're drunk.
But that was a weird scene. Anyway, I'm rambling at this point, but I liked it a lot.
That's good.
Mm. It was a worthy. I don't know how long it took us to watch it. 3 hours?
3 hours. That would say 3 hours,
Yeah.
give or take.
A plus. Would watch again.
Nothing like gathering everyone for the holidays and watching some Gundam.
Yep. I remember one thing that we should at least mention before we finish our gathering of the holidays, the voice actors.
Yes.
There's some pretty big voice actors in this.
Yeah. So, again, this was dubbed in what, like the early 2000s. So it's
Yeah.
kind of, you're getting some of those people in here. So like you see, he's like Steve Bloom's in here as like Al's dad. He shows up very rarely, but he shows up and you're like, oh, I know who that is.
Yep.
It kind of sounded. It seemed like they got like a lot of people that worked on the Bebop dub.
Ah.
Because there's that one professor who's on the Earth Federation makeshift base that's there
Mm-hmm.
that Al goes to meet, and I think that's the dude who voices Jet in the Cowboy Bebop dub.
That tracks.
Wendy Lee's in this as Chris,
Mm-hmm.
who's also in that as well. So like, there's your top three from that are in this.
Yep.
And then the wild one is that Bernie is voiced by none other than David Hayter.
Did you know that you needed him with an Australian accent? Because if you didn't
No,
know
but
that,
I do now.
it's beautiful. It's fantastic.
It's very interesting to hear his voice acting in this because like it's not the same register as when he does like Snake, because it's like he does Snake at a much deeper, gruffier register, but you can still hear those like intonations, like, oh, that's David Hayter.
Yeah.
In Bernie, if you're like really listening for it.
Once you know who it is,
Mm-hmm.
you're like, oh yes, okay, I know who you are.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah. So that's a wild thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I just felt like we had to mention that at some
Mhm.
point because it was pretty good. So anyway, war is bad, everybody.
Who could have guessed?
Happy holidays.
Happy
Um,
holidays. War is over.
It's just a John Lennon song.
It's a bad one.
I mean, I have thoughts that I won't say right now on here, but there's a cover of that though that why am I blanking on who it is? You don't have to actually.
You'll think about it like once we've stopped recording. You'll be like, oh, there it is. That's who it is.
Yeah. You don't have to wait for this. This is me just on. Hi Maxwell, on a tangent.
Maxwell's like, hello, I would like to help you with your tangent. But yeah, that's our holiday episode for this year. We watched some more Gundam because that's always fun and funny to do for a holiday episode.
Pretty good.
We hope all of you have good, happy holidays and stay out of this winter storm that's approaching as well if you're in the midst of that.
Yeah.
Nasty stuff happening.
Yeah.
But that's going to do it for this week's episode. So if you'd like more from us, head on over to seasonalanimecheckup.com or sac.cool, where you can find past episodes of this podcast and other podcasts like Jared's Now Watch. You can also find columns and reviews on the site as well. If you'd like more from Anladium, go to anladium.com. She's got columns and reviews. You can follow us on Twitter and TikTok at Anime Checkup. You can buy our books, One Shiny Moment, a critical analysis of Love, Life, Sunshine, and Hot Tubs and Pac-Man on Amazon.com. And you can support us on Patreon, patreon.com/SACOVA. Buy us a slice of pizza, get access to unedited versions of the podcast early, and a whole wealth of bonus content as well.
Since filled.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Al thought of it.
Yep.
Next week, it's our final episode of the year.
Ah. Yep.
And what better way to kick the end of the year, like literally the last episode of the year on the last day of the year.
Mm-hmm.
It's time to crown Game of the Year. Al, have you locked in your Game of the Year yet?
No.
Yeah, neither have I, so I can't really give you gruff or anything.
It's hard.
But this time next week, we will have our games of the year locked in, ready to discuss, talk about, give flowers to all those good games that came out this year.
Give some supplementary awards.
Give some weird supplemental awards, because this is what we do.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll finish up the year in style.
Mm-hmm.
So look forward to that next week.